Well, Vicky's right about one thing. You never ever want to put a microphone in front of a radio talk show host. You just don't know how long we are going to drag on. But I want to compliment Vicky on everything she's doing in Madison. We do a lot the same thing here in Colorado. And to give you an idea, I was born and raised in Wyoming. I moved to Colorado back in 2004, and I've been active in politics for 31 years. First election I was ever involved in was Reagan's re-election campaign when I was in college. I know that dates me. Sorry about that, but yeah, I'm an old guy. So when I got involved in politics, it was always through the Republican Party, and I thought that getting Republicans elected was enough. It's not. It's flat out not enough. And so after what I saw in Colorado after the the elections in 2006, I basically threw up my hands and said, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. And so I walked away after 25 years of being involved in politics. But then something happened. And it's what I like to refer to as the trifecta: Reid, Pelosi, and Obama. And if that's not enough to scare anybody back into activism, I don't know what is. And it sure as hell did me. So I got back involved. But I didn't go back to the Republican Party. I got back involved in the liberty groups, the Tea Parties. I like to refer to them as the liberty groups, a lot like Vicky does. And so I got involved with the Tea Parties, the 912s, those types of efforts. I went to the rally in Washington, D.C. in 2009, along with 2 million other patriots. And what was cool about that is everybody there was my friend. And everybody understood the same thing. Whether you're independent, Democrat, or Republican, everybody understood the same thing. Government's out of control. Government is absolutely out of control. And I think that that's one thing that we all have in common. It doesn't matter what political party you're affiliated with or if you're affiliated with a party at all. We all understand that. So I got involved, and I got heavily involved. Now my title's, God, it's hard to even remember. I'm the chairman of the First Committee of Correspondence, which is an Article 5 effort in the state of Colorado and nationwide. I helped come up with a plan for Convention of States. Myself, Michael Ferris, and Bob Berry actually put that together, and now Mark Meckler and Michael Ferris are running with that on a nationwide effort. And that's simply a way to amend the Constitution without using Congress. I'm the chairman of the Loveland 912, Colorado Field Director for Freedom Works. Let's see, what else? Radio talk show host, and pretty much I pick a lot of fights. About 4 years ago, we were involved in doing a lot of activism in the state of Colorado, and there was a guy on KLZ 560, which is a radio station that I'm involved in. And oh, by the way, KLZ 560 is throwing down very, very hard for the liberty movement. But about 4 years ago, a guy by the name of Jim Paff was on the air, and he decided to take a job as a Congress critter for a congressman out of Kansas. So he moved to Washington, D.C. to be his chief of staff. Jason Worley got a phone call from Jim Paff, because he knew him, I didn't, and Jason was asked to take over that show. Jason just happened to be out of town, so he calls me and says, we need you to fill in on the radio for the next 2 weeks. I was literally staring at the phone going, you want me to do what? I had never been on the air before, ever. And so I did, and it was horrible. You talk about entertaining, it was entertainment, boy, I can tell you, but not the kind of way you want it to be. But I walked out of the studio that day, and I was going, okay, that didn't hurt. I'm still alive. Nobody shot me. I think I'm going to do okay. So I did. For the next 2 weeks until Jason came back, I did his show. And then Jason and I started tag teaming it. Well, I'm a land developer by trade. Jason is a steel wholesaler. So this show was between 10 and 11:30 in the morning, and so we went to Crawford Broadcasting, asked them if we could do the evening drive time show, and they said yes. And Grassroots Radio Colorado was born. So we quickly became the fastest growing radio show in Colorado. There were some different things that were happening at KLZ 560. They had some national show hosts that left, and the opportunity for me to do Freedom 560 from noon to 2 opened up, and so I now host my own show. I still own Freedom 560 and Grassroots Radio, but we have Chris Cook filling in on Grassroots Radio Colorado during the evening drive time, so we've now got 2 shows. Then they put Randy Corcoran on the air, and he does mornings from 5 to 8 a.m. Now we have Rush to Reason with John Rush from 2 to 3 p.m. That'll soon go from 2 to 4 p.m. KLZ 560 is throwing down hard in the Colorado market for liberty. And the reason being is Mr. Crawford, who owns Crawford Broadcasting, is a true believer. He's a true believer in God, and he's a true believer in the movement that we have. So he has given us an opportunity to see what we can do in Denver. We broadcast from Pueblo, Colorado, all the way to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and we are all about liberty. Randy Corcoran has recently left the Republican Party, but I'm still a registered member. I don't know why. I'm trying to figure it out, but I still am. And it's simply because I believe that I need to affect change through that party. But radio, and I think Vicki will attest to this, I think she just did, we believe that radio is the tip of the spear, if you will. Some guy dumb enough to give me a microphone 4 years ago, and I attack everyone. I don't care who you're a party affiliation with. If you are an enemy of liberty, you are my enemy. End of story. And I don't care if you're a Republican. I am the Republican Party in the state of Colorado has an enemies list. The chairman does. There are 7 people on that list, and I'm proud to be number 1. I am. I spend a lot of time during the legislative session down at the Capitol, and there's a reason, because that's where the sausage is made. And believe me, it is not pretty. When you go down there and see what these guys are doing and why, and you look at the Republicans and go, you're supporting this? Have you ever heard of the proper role of government? No, they have not. They're doing it because they can. I mean, I've seen things in the state of Colorado that Republicans have supported as stupid as the state of Colorado, through legislation, is going to make a law that they're going to do an app on an iPhone or a Droid so that they can get some message out. $150,000. I don't know how many app developers there are out there, but I can tell you the app that I have for my radio show on my iPhone costs about $2,500, and it does a lot more than theirs. But this is government for you, and you sit down there and you look at Republicans and you're going, are you kidding? It was a Republican that gave us SB 200, which is the healthcare exchanges in the state of Colorado, ushering in Obamacare in the state of Colorado. Yeah, I don't get along with that legislator very well. It's so bad, in fact, when I go down to the Capitol and some of these Republicans see me coming, they will actually stop, turn around, and walk the other way. But that also means that we are being effective. So I consider talk radio, every show that we have on KLZ 560, and not so much with other radio talk shows, because as Vicki said, first job is to entertain. Well, I don't know if my yelling and screaming and ranting and raving is entertaining, but we have a very quickly growing radio show and a huge audience in Colorado. We're in 22 different countries. Our podcasts are, last week we were number 3 in the nation on Podomatic as far as downloads are concerned. So I think we're doing something right. But I look at it as we are there to get the information out so that people can use it. That's why I go down to the Capitol during legislative session. You'll find me there almost every day. And I got to tell you, it's depressing. It's not fun, especially when you've got the Marxists, the liberals, the progressives in charge of the Colorado State Legislature, both the House, the Senate, and the Governor's Mansion. All 3 are controlled by a Michael Bloomberg-driven agenda. They vote in lockstep. On a scale of 1 to 100, they are out of sync only 6 points. That is statistically impossible unless they are being told how to vote and told what to do. So I go down there and I watch this stuff and I get it out on the radio. But we have a lot of groups like Amanda's, Liberty on the Rocks. We have Tea Parties. We have Arapahoe County Tea Party, North Jeffco Tea Party. We have South Jeffco Tea Party. We have the Loveland 912. We've got Broomfield 912. We've got all these different groups throughout the state. Independence Institute, Centennial Institute, you name it. We've got people, we've got a ground game going on in Colorado that is massive. And activists listen to our show. You have to make damn sure the information you're giving them is accurate and on target and something actionable. It has to be actionable. And I know Vicki would agree with this. Telling them what's going on isn't enough. Talking about the ills of the world are not enough. Most of us know that already. And everybody walks away from well, let me rephrase that. Not everybody, but how many times do you walk away from a summit, a conference, a seminar, and you learn all this wonderful stuff, and you walk away wondering, okay, now what do we do? What do we do? That is the key. Sounds to me like Vicki's got it going on. She knows what she's doing. We try to do the exact same thing here in Colorado. All 4 shows on KLZ 560 are geared to solutions. It is all about solutions. So we promote the groups like Liberty on the Rocks. We support the Tea Parties. We support any and everybody who is supporting free market capitalism, adherence to the Constitution as written, not as defined by the Supreme Court, because those are 2 very different things. There are, in fact, 2 constitutions in the United States. One is interpreted by the United States Supreme Court. The other one is as written and as intended by our founders. That is the one that we support. Okay? Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that the decision that came down on Obamacare, man, they had to do some serious gymnastics to get that thing through. Okay? So that's why I say there are two different constitutions. So we support those efforts. And to give you an idea of some of the successes that we have had, in 2013, we had a bunch of extreme gun-grabbing laws passed in the state of Colorado. And a bunch of activists in Colorado Springs, Pueblo, and even up north in Denver, they got together and they decided they were going to recall the senators who put forth and sponsored those gun-grabbing bills. It had never happened before in the state of Colorado in our entire history. We've never had a successful recall of a sitting senator. We did it twice and forced another one to resign. Now the makeup of the Senate is the Democrats have a 1-vote majority. That was a group of people coming together, deciding we're going to do this, and the rest of the entire state getting on board and supporting them. And talk radio had a big part of that. We put them on the air almost every day, talking about the effort. We had people driving in from the West Bank, or excuse me, the Western Slope, just to walk door to door on a Saturday. They'd get up early in the morning, drive in, walk door to door to help the effort, and then they'd drive home. That's a 4 or 5 hour drive. People were doing that all the time. So we've had a tremendous amount of success. But when it comes to being on the radio, radio is, I would consider, we are the tip of the spear. We get the information out. But I'm an activist first and foremost. I am an activist. I think my resume speaks to that. To give you an idea, we also have some election laws that were passed in the state of Colorado. We had 1164 and 1303. They promote voter fraud. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail because, believe me, I could spend 2 hours telling you about each one of those pieces of legislation, but they promote voter fraud. So we had a special district election in Castle Rock about 2 months ago, and they started violating the citizens' constitutional rights to privacy and their ballot. So I sued them. Personally, I sued them. I'm taking them to court. That's called activism. So I've got a lot of friends that are helping me with that. I've got election law experts that are helping me with that. But they needed somebody to be out front. If I'm going to consider myself the tip of the spear, I put my name as plaintiff on that lawsuit, and away we go. Those are the kinds of things that have to happen. You have to be able to give people the solutions on the air so they know what to do, where to go, how to do it. It's not enough just to have the information. It's not enough just to have the information because, frankly, we all know that government is out of control. So what do you do about that? Is Article 5 the way to go? I think so. I think that's one way. That might stop the problems in Washington, D.C., but what does that mean? How do you get involved with a initiative like that, a nationwide initiative like that? Well, on radio, it's my job to show you, to tell you, and to break it down, as Vicki said, in very simple steps. You don't like this? Go out and do that. This is the pathway to victory, and these are the steps that we are going to follow. I get involved in primary races. I know that a lot of radio talk show hosts don't like to endorse in primaries. I do. I get heavily involved. In 2012, of the 6 candidates that I supported, 5 won. In 2014, all of them won. I can't remember how many that was, though, so forgive me. And I did not take a stand in the gubernatorial race or the senatorial race, in case ever anybody's wondering. Those were just too deep in the weeds for me. Anyway, but the point of radio is not only to educate, but that medium, we use it to help find solutions for our audience. Because at the end of the day, information without action is useless. We have got to get people active, and we try to show them where to go. Groups like Amanda's, the liberty groups. That's how you get involved. Those are places you can go to make a difference. Can you help a ballot initiative? Amendment 66, 1.2 billion, or excuse me, it was about $1 billion tax increase for education. State of Colorado was on the ballot in 2013. They spent $12.2 million to support that. We spent $136,000 to defeat it, and we beat it by double digits because we had a ground game. We put together speakers bureaus. We had a group of 40 people out there statewide that could go to different events and talk to the subject. I was the head of that speakers bureau. That's called activism. That's how people get involved. You lead by example. Follow me, I'll show you how to get to the finish line. This is what victory looks like. That's what we try to do on KLZ 560. I'm going to wrap it up. I don't know what else I can say, but actually I do. I could be talking here for an hour or two, but I'll shut up now. But thank you very much.